Om Swastiastu.
Om Swastiastu.
How are you today, Bapak Made Wijaya?
Fine, thank you. Happy.
Okay, Bapak Made Wijaya, our presentation today is about Pengerebongan. So, can you explain what is Pengerebongan and what is the meaning of Pengerebongan?
Well, Pengerebongan is a ceremony that happens in the afternoon, 8 days after Kuningan, the great golden day of the Balinese calendar, in East Denpasar, which is a sort of Majapahit classical Javanese stronghold within an urban city. For some reason, the east of Denpasar has maintained its, you could say, its Javanese Hindu-ness. It's a very classical quarter. Now, Pengerebongan probably comes from the word ngerehang barong, which means to bring a barong to life. I call it a theatre because it happens over almost exactly 3 hours. Wonderful music, wonderful costumes, credible stagecraft. The stage itself is arguably the most beautiful temple in Denpasar, the Buddha-dalam. And outside is the big wantilan, and the gods and the barongs and the trances move around this big stage like actors in a universal theatre.
Bapak Made Wijaya, why in this ritual there are so many people go into the trance?
It's a very spooky ceremony. It's the biggest mass trance in Bali. Usually the barongathons, as I call them, happen up in the mountains in a village like Apuan. Now the coast of Sanur, Suwung, until Kuta, Puraprancak, where the great priest Pengerebongan arrived, Tangat meaning spooky, the great spooky temples of Sanur, also incorporates East Denpasar, Kasiman. So you have all the young men of the village, sometimes 100, sitting with the barongs behind them, their mascots, their mystical mascots. And when the moment comes and that special Pengerebongan holy water is splashed that brings the energy, this cloud of gods descends and spirits and demons, and they go off into a wild trance, which is part of a theatre which includes the commemoration of the great battle when the Poleng Kasiman, perhaps the warriors of the Chakor de Sakti Kasiman, who used to commune divinely with Pengerebongan in Uluwatu, the god of Uluwatu temple.
So Bapak Made Wijaya, you said it is something about theater. So in the second act, there is a procession that the barong and the rangda are surrounding the wantilan for 3 times. So can you explain what is the function of the barong and the rangda surrounding the wantilan for 3 times?
Quite often in Bali you have a part of a ritual that involves the perambulation of a holy enclosure, of a house during a house consecration ceremony, or in this case around the wantilan by all of the people in trance, the holy warriors, the barongs, the rangdas. These are ancient Buddhist rituals. Remember Bali, the name for Hindu Bali is Hindu Dharma, Dharma being the principal tenet of Buddhism. Indonesia was Buddhist first and then Hindu, then Islam, and now tourists.
Okay then, sir. It's very interesting. And then the third act is the grand entrance return to the temple. So can you explain a little bit about the process of returning to the temple?
Well, this grand entrance is up there with the horses coming into the Siena arena. The arrival of Cleopatra, you know, I mean, it's amazing the way the barongs first, then the rangdas, absolutely posturing in this incredible way as they come in, you'll see in the photos. And then all the trancees wildly gesticulating, being subdued only when they reach the core of the temple again by the special holy water to calm them down. It's a grand entrance indeed, and really the grandest in Bali.
I see that. And then the next ritual is the fourth act. We said there are so many people are dancing of Poleng dance, and also step their body with keris, or we call it keris dance. So can you explain the procession of this dance during this ritual?
Well, you know, people do call it the keris dance, which is a tourist invention, but the ngurak, the actual testing of your body against the magic of the barong, is a big part of many Balinese ceremonies. And it's not just when the barong's there. In this case, during the fourth act, which commemorates the famous Poleng Kasiman warriors fighting on in the battle with their intestines spilling out. You'll see the ladies carrying the symbolic intestines, the black and white cloth. In this case, the lieutenants, the officers, who are in trance, presumably with the spirit of the deified ancestors, witnessed by the royal family from Kasiman, which is the loveliest temple in Bali, standing nearby, the beautiful gamelan, the gambang, which is unique to this temple festival. You'll hear the very pretty music. And they perform this ngurak, this Chris dance, as you call it, to the generals who are sitting there fanning themselves in these Majapahit costumes. I think you notice in the second act the way they change into those extraordinary costumes. Backstage is interesting too, because it's a very relaxed atmosphere. Quite often, the Balinese are not precious about their ceremonies. That's why it's fun to go to, and things survive now into the modern age, because there's no pressure. You have to be at the, the place of worship at exactly 9, for example. No. It's very like bends like the seagrass.
So, Bapak Made Wijaya, as we know that this Pengerebongan ritual is held in Kasiman. So, of course, are there any member of a royal palace from Kasiman attend this ritual?
The Kasiman Palace sends its major god from the house chapel, the deified ancestor of Chakorda Sakti Kasiman, who was the great friend of Batara Sakti Rinluhur Uluwatu. So the presence of this major palace deity helps give great respect, great standing to this otherwise village-run event. And the Palace of Kasiman are a real palace of the people. Tragically, the old palace was pulled down in the 60s when all the royals got jobs at the Hotel Bali Beach. But the Marajan, the royal chapel, remains today. Its gate is an almost exact copy in brick of the coral gates of Sakinan and Uluwatu. So this also, the fact that they use the same architect, celebrates that the link. Kasiman is the Pangemong, the custodian of Sakinan, Port of Sakinan, which we saw 2 weeks ago in the program on Bali Vision. And Kasiman also has that link to Uluwatu, which I just explained. So the royal family does turn up quite often at major events. Certainly the Chakorda, the prince of Kasiman, is invited with the other princes of South Bali to all of the major events in Sanur, Kuta, Denpasar.
Pak Made, this is something about the theater. So tell me about the different costumes in this ritual.
We see in this afternoon's theatres nearly all the great costumes of Majapahit Denpasar. We see the Jombrang dancers who will eventually be wearing the Rangda witch mask, getting dressed backstage in those incredible striped pajamas with the gloves with the long nails. We see the beautiful Majapahit velvet costumes with the headscarves, the destar. We see the Poleng costumes, which are very dramatic, which are unique to this temple. And of course, the Denpasar male is a great dresser. He's really quite the male peacock amongst the Balinese men. And the women of Kasiman are very statuesque. So the actual temple dress on this day is very special. It's a great day for East Bali, East Denpasar, I'm sorry.
It is very interesting presentation from you, Pak Made. Thank you very much. See you in the next presentation.
Om Santi 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 Om.
Well, viewers, that's all our interview with the famous stranger in paradise, or Bapak Made Wijaya, the cultural advisor from Bali. I hope you enjoy. I'm Nadia Happy from TVRI Report. See you next time, and please enjoy my beautiful country.